Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Miss McConnell from Me Junior High. I'm going to be going over today's lesson, which is 1.6 Solving Proportions. The lesson overview is we solve proportions by using the cross products property, and we need to understand that work needs to be shown and a calculator is not to be used. So I will meet you guys on slide 3, which is our warm-up. So our directions show how you know the following fractions are equivalent. We have 2/4 is equal to 12 over 24, and 2/10 is equal to 8/40. So if you would like to pause the video here and come up with your answers, that is fine. Okay. Now, you should have come up with a few different answers potentially, but one way you could do it is you have 2/4 is equal to 12/24. You could multiply our first fraction by 6 in the numerator and denominator. So 2 times 6 would give us 12. 4 times 6 would give us 24. So we know 12/24 is equal to 12/24. So that is one way you could do it. Looking at our second example, you could do that same exact thing. You could do 2 times 4 would give us 8. 10 times 4 would give us 40. So 8/40 is equivalent to 8/40. You could look at your second fraction, 8/40, and you could divide the numerator and denominator by 4, and you would get 2/10 is equal to 2/10. Another way you could do it is you could multiply diagonally, to cross multiply, and you could do 2 times 40, which would give us, that is not what I want, which would give us 80, 80, and then 10 times 8, which would also give us 80. So that is another option that you could use to show that the two fractions are equivalent. Now I can meet you guys on slide 4. So now we are going to start our shared notes portion. So if you have a notebook, you can start writing this down if you choose to. All right. So the cross products property are when two fractions are two equivalent, the product of the means is equal to the product of extremes. So if you look at what's underneath, we have the mean over the extreme is equal to the extreme over the mean. So a numerical example, which is one of the ones that we did in our numeracy, is we have 2/4 is equal to 12/24. So again, you can find the product of the means, which is 2 times 24, is equal to the product of the extremes, which is 4 times 12. And 2 times 24 is 48. 4 times 12 is 48. So that works. Now, what we're going to be doing today is looking at the algebraic example. So you might see something like x over 6 is equal to 9/3. So now we have a variable, but we're still using those same steps. We are doing the product of the means. So we have x times 3 is equal to the product of the extremes. So 6 times 9. And then you're left with 3x is equal to 54. And then to solve for x, you divide both sides by 3, and you would get x is equal to 18. So those are the type of examples that we're going to be dealing with today. So if you want to head on over to slide 5, we're going to go through our first example. So example number 1 has k over 9 is equal to 5/3. So we need to find the variable. We need to get the variable by itself and figure out what number it is. So we're going to use the cross products property to solve. So just like in the previous example, we have the product of the means. So we have k. We have k times 3 is equal to 9. times 5. All right, so k times 3, we are left with, sorry, 3k is equal to 45. Now to get k by itself, we're just going to solve using equation steps here. So then we would divide both sides here by 3. And we are left with then k is equal to 45 divided by 3 is 15. So this would be my final answer. Now, if you wanted to check your answer, you can. I'm not going to check every single one today, but I will show you how to check this first one. So you would just plug our value in for k, which is 15. So we would have 15 ninths is equal to 5 thirds. And you can go ahead and cross multiply again, and you would be left with 15 times 3, which is, that is a crazy 5, but is equal to 45. And 9 times 5 is also equal to 45. So that is how you could check your answer for all of these problems that we are doing today. Now, we're going to move on to slide number 6 here. This is a very similar problem to the one we just did. So if you want to try this problem on your own, you can pause the video here and then hit play when you have finished it to check to see if you got the right answer. If you want to see another example, we can go through this one together. So we are going to be looking at the same steps. We have 6 tenths is equal to v over 7. We're going to use the cross products property to solve. So we are going to find the product of the mean here. So we have 6 times 7. 6 times 7 is equal to, then we're going to find the product of the extremes, which is 10 times v. 10 times v. And now we have 6 times 7, which is 42, is equal to 10 v. Now to get v by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 10 because we want to get that variable by itself. And we are left with 42 over 10 is equal to b. I'm going to bring this down a little. All right, so it's okay if you get a fraction answer, but if we do get a fraction answer, it's really important that we fully simplify the fraction for the final answer. So 42 over 10, I know I can simplify that by 2. 42 divided by 2 is 21. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So now I have 21 fifths is equal to v. I can't simplify this any further, so this would be my final answer. 21 fifths is equal to v. Again, if we have a fraction answer, that is fine, but we need to make sure that our fraction answer is fully simplified to receive full credit. Alrighty. Now I'll meet you guys on slide 7. This example looks slightly different than the first two. So we have 8, 6 is equal to 4 over b plus 8. So we're going to solve the same exact way. We are going to use the cross products property to solve, and we're going to find the products. Oopsies. Need a highlighter here. We're going to find the product of the mean. So we have 8 times b plus 8. Now, when I write this out, it's really important that the b plus 8 is in parentheses. B plus 8, because that tells us that we are going to need to distribute first. And also we need to find the product of the extremes here. Please meant that to be in blue. And we have 4 times 6. Okay, so now I have 8 times b plus 8 is equal to 4 times 6. Again, that first step before we can start moving things over, we have to distribute that 8 to what's inside the parentheses. So we have 8 times b, which is 8b, plus 8 times 8, which is 64, is equal to 4 times 6, which is 24. All right, next step is we want to subtract 64 to the other side, because we have that positive 64. We need to do the opposite. So we subtract 64. Oopsies, not mean to write that line there, but I am left with 8b is equal to 24 minus 64. We are left with negative 40. So 8b is equal to negative 40. We are almost there, but now we have to divide both sides by 8. All right, that 8 did not look normal. 8, there we go. And we are left with b is equal to negative 40 divided by 8 is negative 5. So our final answer here is b is equal to negative 5. All right. If you are done writing everything down, you can meet me on slide 8. Now we're going to look at example number 4. It's similar to that last example that we just did, so if you want to try this one on your own, you can pause the video here and then hit play when you would like to check your work. Otherwise, if you need another example of this, you can just stay with me. All right, so we have n minus 3 over 8 is equal to 9/4. So again, we are going to use a cross product property to solve, and we're going to find the product of our mean. So we have n minus 3 times 4. And when I write this out again, I want to make sure I have parentheses around that n minus 3, because that tells me I need to distribute, is equal to the product of the extremes, which is 8 times 9. So we have 8 times 9. And the first thing I need to do here is distribute the 4 to what's inside the parentheses. So we have 4 times n, which is just 4n. And then we have 4 times negative 3, which gives us negative 12, is equal to 8 times 9, which is 72. Now, our equation reads 4n minus 12 is equal to 72. My next step here is I'm going to add 12 to get the variable by itself on one side. So add 12 to both sides. So negative 12 plus 12, that cancels out, and we are left with 4n is equal to 72 plus 12 gives us 84. Now we have 4n is equal to 84. Next step is you want to get that variable by itself, so we are going to divide both sides by 4. And we are left with n is equal to 84 divided by 4. You get 21. So my final answer here is n is equal to 21. All right, we have our last example coming up on slide 9. So we have n minus 1 over 9 is equal to n minus 9 over 10. So same exact steps here. We're going to find the product of the means of the mean. So we have 10. Let's get that in yellow here. We have 10, and then again in parentheses is that n minus 1, because that tells us we need to distribute, is equal to the product of the extremes, which is 9 times n. That does not look like a 9. Sorry. So now we have 9 times, again, in that parentheses now is n minus 9. Okay, let's make this n a little bit more neat. And there we go. Okay, so now I have 10 times n minus 1 is equal to 9 times n minus 9. So this problem looks a little bit different because on both sides of my equations now, I have to distribute. So we are going to do 10 times n, which is 10n, and then 10 times negative 1 gives us negative 10 is equal to. Now we need to distribute on the other side as well. So we are going to do 9 times n, which is 9n, and 9 times negative 9, which gives us negative 81. Now, going back to our solving equation steps, we want to get the variable on one side. So I'm going to subtract here negative 9, subtract 9 here, there we go, to the other side. I'm going to pick on the smaller number here, so I end up with a positive variable, just a preference. So 10n minus 9n, you are just left with 1n, so just n, minus 10 is equal to, and we still have that negative 81. And so now I have n minus 10 is equal to negative 81. And our last step, because we just have that 1n here, we are going to add 10 to the other side. And we are left with just n is equal to negative 71. And this would be our final answer. And on slide 10, we have our lesson wrap up. So remember to stay organized with your work. And we use the cross product property when two fractions are equivalent. So again, you're finding the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. And then you are solving using your regular equation steps once you get to that point. And on slide 11, we have the your turn, so you guys can get started on your 1.6 homework. If you have any questions on today's lesson, please reach out to your teacher. I hope you guys have a great day.